Chapter 10. Taming the Wolf Girl. Early the next morning, while milking his cow in the stable, William noticed the sylvan sitting in the eaves. The bird's feathers gleamed in the darkness. William had never seen a sylvan inside a building before. He'd rarely even seen one in the forest. He shrugged and continued until the pail was full of frothy warm milk to take to Octavia for breakfast. Even in the stable, William could smell the oatmeal cooking and the day's bread baking in the oven. "Good girl," he said to his cow, slapping her rump affectionately. He carried the heavy bucket to the kitchen door where Octavia stood. The sylvan flew to the apple tree. The farmer's wife took one look at the bird and said to her husband matter-of-factly, "That bird wants to tell you something. You'd better follow him, William." "Follow him? Nonsense," said her husband, whose stomach was rumbling. The sylvan flew up into the air and hovered. William took an uncertain step in his direction. The sylvan flew to the next tree and waited. "Go on, William," said Octavia. She lifted the milk pail and took it into the kitchen, closing the door behind her. William followed the bird to the edge of the little yard, beyond the chicken coop and the pig pen. Every time he paused, the sylvan paused, landing on a branch or fence post, with its head to one side and looking at him intently. The rising sun flushed the silvery fields with a reddish glow. The farmer forgot the smell of oatmeal and strode through the grass after the magical bird, a crisp white shape against a sky full of pale stars, vanishing into daylight. They came to the brook, and there, lying in a small, crumpled mound, was a little girl. William gasped. He knelt beside her. She was somewhere between 5 and 6 years old, no more. Her bare feet were covered with half-dry scabs, her nails were broken, and her skin was ingrained with dirt. Tenderly, he moved the mass of matted hair aside and saw the delicate face. "Little one," he whispered. "Little wolf girl." "Whose child is she, I wonder?" said Octavia, hanging the kettle over the fire. The girl lay motionless on the bed, still unconscious. Octavia squeezed drops of warm chamomile tea between her dry lips. "This is the girl I saw on the wolf's back. I'm sure of it." "I've heard that wolves adopt children," said Octavia, "yet it seems too strange to be true." Octavia sat next to her and, with nimble fingers, began to pull out pieces of grass, burr and brambles, hay and twigs from Irina's bushy thickets of hair. Much of it she had to cut away. She found clods of earth and matted clumps of soft, greyish fur. "Wolf fur?" she said to her husband, holding it up to him. "Must be." From the windowsill, Amicus watched as the farmer's wife spent hours over Irina's limp body, cleaning her and feeding her drops of tea and vegetable broth. During the night, the child developed a raging fever and tossed and turned, making wolfish shrieks and whimpers. Sometimes she would hammer at Octavia's hands with her fists. The farmer's wife let the fever build until the girl's body was blazing with inner fire, and calmly wrapped her feet in bandages soaked with lemon juice. "This will draw the fever out through your feet, little one," she whispered. The next day, Irina's skin broke out in raised spots. Octavia mixed a creamy solution and dressed the spots, and Irina's wounded feet, too. Over the next few days she soaked the child's hair in oil and smoothed it with an antler comb. She clipped the ragged toenails and fingernails and sponged away the dirt. "When will she be well?" asked William one evening, eating his supper of barley bread and toasted cheese and ale. "She will be well when she is well." William worried that his wife would not leave the child's side during the night. "Octavia, come and rest, my dear. You'll get unwell yourself." We weren't blessed with children of our own. Now a miracle drops a little one at my door, and you tell me to go to bed? John, give me strength. A kindly force streamed through Octavia's limbs as she managed to do her daily tasks and tend the wolf girl. As the days passed, Irina's feet healed and all her blemishes, bruises and cuts gradually disappeared. Sometimes the child opened her eyes and they saw a flash of colour before she drifted off to sleep again. One day, when William was threshing corn, he heard a scream. He ran back to the cottage and found Irina crouched in a corner, snarling at Octavia. William went to restrain the girl, but Octavia lifted her hand. "Go, William, leave this to me. She's wild, remember? I have to tame her." That night, Octavia told William to only speak in whispers. Don't look her in the eyes. Be quiet and slow in all your movements. In the morning, William was surprised to see the girl on her hands and knees, eating oatmeal from a bowl like a dog. "She calmed down when the sylvan sang," said Octavia. "I don't want a dog for a child." "She's not as tame as a dog. She probably never will be." "You mean she'll always be like this?" "Be patient, William. She must learn to trust us." Octavia paused for a moment, looking at her husband's doubtful face, then said, "It may not be as hard as we think. Wolves have families like we do. All I have to do is show her what her place is, not with wolves, but humans." She looked down at the little girl fondly. "We'll call her Irina, in memory of the princess." Not far away, in Ragnall Castle, Queen Chloe was nursing her baby daughter Julene. Unlike Irina and the Queen's second-born, Mihaela, this third baby girl was frail and feather-light and difficult to feed. The Queen held her tenderly. Her husband was standing by the window. He rarely sat. He preferred to stand or pace about. Over the past years, he had become more restless than ever. "I dreamed of Irina last night," said Chloe. "Pray that she is in the realm of Jun and the Shining One," said Harmon, unwilling to look at his wife. Although he never spoke of it, Chloe knew how ashamed Harmon was that he hadn't been able to save their firstborn. "I dreamed she was being fed oatmeal with a spoon. Maybe she'll meet her little sisters one day." Chloe gazed lovingly at the baby and the strong, chubby Mihaela sitting at her feet. "A beautiful dream, but a dream nonetheless," said King Harmon. Before she could say anything else, he bowed his head and left the room, his woven cloak sweeping the wooden tiles beneath his heels.